Coming to you live from downtown Windsor, this is a St. Clair College MediaPlex production.
Good evening, I'm Harsh Sasrani and you're watching the MediaPlex Insider. Here is Constable Lauren Briscoe with our weekly Crime Stopper update.
On April 2nd at 7:30 a.m., officers responded to a report of gunshots at a residence in the 1200 block of Drouillard Road. Through investigation, officers learned that 2 bullets were shot into the victim's house in the early morning hours. Officers located bullets inside the house. No physical injuries were reported. Residents in the area are asked to check for surveillance or dash cam evidence from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. on April 2nd. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Windsor Police Major Crimes Unit. You can also submit a tip anonymously at 519-258-8477 or online at catchcrooks.com. I am Police Coordinator Lauren Briscoe.
The city of Windsor is full of potholes. Jesse LaRouche has more.
If you're driving through Windsor, chances are you're going to want to buckle up because you're going to run into some potholes.
Now, Windsor may be known for its pizza, but for locals, potholes come in a close second. And with the ability to report a pothole using the Windsor 311 app, people are doing just that. As you can see here, we got 4 different incidents across the city of Windsor where people thought the potholes were bad enough that they had to report it. And those cases, those were just in the past 5 days. But the city of Windsor has a plan. With $16 million allocated to fix local roads, that pothole you hate on your drive into work might just disappear. But with the estimated cost at around $300 million to fix every deficient road, odds are you won't be that lucky. So my best advice is, put your seatbelt on, hope your insurance covers it, and just pray that the city of Windsor can do something about this. For MediaPlex News, I'm Jesse LaRouche.
Joel is here with local activist and artist Bartolio.
Hi, I'm Joelle Broussard here for the MediaPlex doing 3 minutes with local artist and activist Betulio.
Hi Joelle, thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start off by asking you about your new EP that you have coming out. Tell me a little bit about it and what it means to you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. We have this new EP, I say we because I'm collaborating with other artists on it, but it's a 4-song, really short album called Sweet Stain. It's about people who have left a nice little stain on my heart that I wanted to commemorate. It's got all the ranges, all the ranges of emotion, from like super fun to super sad, and it's very different from the music that I have out now, which is very like punk rock based. This is more like soft Amy Winehouse type vibe.
Nice. And so I also heard you were putting out a zine soon. Tell me a little bit about that and what it means to you again.
Yeah. A few months ago, I was contacted by another local creator, and he asked me to collaborate with him on this project called Phase. And we are releasing a series of zines about the ongoing genocide that's happened in Palestine over the last 7 months, because we've never seen anything like this in history, and we need to take charge and write the history as opposed to letting the so-called winners rewrite the facts. So.
Awesome. And lastly, I wanted to talk about, I know you're the founder and CEO of a program that was called formerly Colors of Resilience, and you've now rebranded to Heart from the Streets. Explain to me a little about that project and what you guys have going on right now.
Yeah. So Heart from the Streets is like my curating project where we set up workshops at a series of shelters across the city, and we have people who are actively experiencing homelessness create their own pieces that are up for sale and silent auction at the end of August. Right now, we have this project up at AWE in the WFCU Eco Lounge. LOL, so many acronyms. And it's called the 1,000 Burger Project. It was made in collaboration with another local creator called Made in YQG to respond to content creators that exploit people who are experiencing homelessness and on the streets by giving them food and recording them without their consent. People should know when they're being recorded and filmed, so we created the 1,000 Burger Project in response to that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That has been 3 minutes with local artist and activist Betulio. For the MediaPlex, I'm Joelle Broussard.
St. Clair College is filled with talents. Here is Dale to tell us about the upcoming show.
Mark your calendars. The upcoming weeks will bring 2 exciting shows featuring Saint's talents. Rehearsals are ongoing for the St. Clair College Music Theater Performance class as they prepare for the Cats show on April 17th through April 20th. Coordinator Christine Wiklansky says, students of the Music Theater Performance will put a modern twist on this classic Broadway show.
They are true triple threats. They can sing, they can dance, they can act, and they put all of that together in this gorgeous, amazing show.
Next up, category is Eleganza Extravaganza. This year, fashion design students will be having their 10th annual fashion show. To celebrate a decade of Atelier Fashion Show, previous collections of graduates will be showcased at the event. Fashion Design Coordinator Didi Shkreli says the funds raised from this event will be used to support students' trips.
This year we'll be going to Fashion Art Toronto in Toronto, and that money goes straight to them to cover the costs of their field trips, bus, hotel if necessary, things like that.
The Atelier show will be on April 20th, and you can get your tickets on the link seen on your screen. For the MediaPlex, I am Dale Kabukin.
Here is Haley Gobel to tell us all about the new movie called Challengers.
The highly anticipated 2024 film Challengers is less than a month away. Challengers, directed by Luca Guadagnino, follows Tashi, a former tennis player turned coach, who has transformed her husband Art into a world-famous Grand Slam champion. To jolt him out of his recent losing streak, she signs him up for a challenger event close to the lowest level of pro tournament, where he faces his former best friend and Tashi's former boyfriend across the net. In an interview with ABC News, Zendaya, who stars as Tashi, describes the complexity of her character and the symbolism of tennis in the film.
I mean, she's a go-getter, and I think she's very... I guess you say ruthless in the way that she goes after the things she wants and needs. And I often say that that tennis really is just like a metaphor, and it's a, outlet in which they use to just stay connected to each other and depend on each other and wield power over each other and hurt each other.
After being significantly delayed by the SAG-AFTRA strike, Challengers will finally premiere on April 26th. For the MediaPlex, I'm Haley Goebel.
The 15th annual Detroit River Walleye Classic Fishing Derby is inviting fishermen of all ages to dust off their fishing gear for a good cause. The event will take place on May 4th at Gilmore Park in LaSalle. All proceeds raised are returned to the community, supporting local initiatives and families in need. Registration before the event costs $60 and closes on 1st May. On the day of the event, registration is $100. A free kids derby will also take place the day of the main event. More many libraries are a place to be celebrated. Saloni Chauhan tells us more.
In the early 2000s, the American Library Association recognized the need to honor the contribution of library workers and establish National Library Workers' Day. This day is observed annually on April 9th. The focus of this day is to recognize the hard work and dedication of library workers. We celebrate Libraries Day for the hardworking people who keep our libraries running smoothly. The focus is on celebrating their dedication and effort is maintaining the facility. Libraries have a rich history dating back thousands of years, serving as centers of learning, culture, and community. Libraries have adapted to new technologies and societal needs, but their mission remains the same: to provide information and promote literacy. Libraries have evolved into community hubs, offering computer access, educational programs, job resources, and social events, in addition to books. Happy National Library Workers' Day. Let's recognize the important role of libraries and the dedicated workers who keep them running smoothly.
Our program coordinator Veronica Mandal will be recognized with an honorary Doctors of Law. Dal Kabukian caught up with her.
Assumption University, on their upcoming convocation, will confer an honorary Doctor of Laws on our very own Veronique Mandel. Joining us today is the recipient herself, Veronique. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. First of all, congratulations on this recognition. Now, first question, what does this conferring of honorary Doctor of Law means for you?
I must say, I was pretty gobsmacked when they called me and told me that they were going to do this. Because, I've known a number of people in the community who have had this conferred on them, and I've always been so impressed with the reasons why these people get this doctorate of laws, and I don't think I ever expected that I would be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've gotten a lot of recognition from many organizations. This one from Assumption University. What do you feel about it?
Because of the fact that they recognize service to the community, I think that's really important. Service to the community has always been so important to me, and I've served on more than a dozen boards of directors and still do, and everything you give back to the community, I think is something that you do to help the community be better and to help somebody else. And I think the whole aspect of giving back is something that has been one of the most important parts of my life.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us some specific examples of the things that you were doing for community?
Hospice has really been a big focus, and I was the chair of the Hospice Board of Directors, and I'm currently the chair of the Foundation Board, and I'm also the vice chair of the Harrow Family Health Team Board. And so, because of my background, I also seem to gravitate to a lot of sort of medical-related kinds of boards and organizations.
All right, and now we know that you were a nurse, you were a midwife, you are a professor, and the list goes on. You have a lot on your plate. Now, what is next for you?
Well, some should say I should retire, but since that's not likely, I think one of the important things is that I feel that there's a lot here at St. Clair College that I haven't finished. And so I want to continue to work with our team and make sure that our programs are second to none in the country. And since we've added film to our program, I also want to help that get more developed and also get more involved in that side myself, because of all the arts, that's probably the one that I've worked at the least.
All right, that's good stuff. Thanks again for joining us, Vero. We are very proud of you.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Turning to weather, let's have a look at our 3-day forecast. Wednesday, it will be sunny with a high of 20. Thursday, we can expect some rain and a high of 15. Friday, rain again with a high of 9. But that is a hope, as the weekend looks promising. So in case you have been living under rocks, then you know that yesterday was the eclipse. Our Zach Bellog went out to Collister Beach and captured this photo. Great job, Zach. I guess we will need your skill in about 20 years when the next one is scheduled for our area. Our power panel talk about what should be taught in schools. Let's have a look.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk. I'm your host Zach, and today we have a special guest. Morgan Balarjan is joining us on our panel today. And I'm also here with the rest of my power panel.
Ksenia Semenova and Riley Livingston.
And every once in a while somebody does something that bothers us. We call them pet peeves. Almost like that episode of Family Guy. You know what really grinds my gears? And also, it could be minor things like leaving the toilet seat up, or just as one example. So my question to the panel is, what are your biggest pet peeves?
All right, so when we said pet peeves, the first thing that comes to my mind is you need to call a customer service line for something, and you're on the phone on hold for like 30 minutes or so, and time passes, you're listening to that elevator music, and then you get the robot voice that hits you with, your call is very important to us. Is it really that important to you if nobody can help?
You're leaving me on here for an hour. It must really be that important.
Exactly, and you're only calling it last minute like anyway, like it has to be the last resort to call that sort of line.
Last resort.
You've Googled every answer. You're on Yahoo forums, on Reddit, trying to figure out how to solve your problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. But your call is very important to us.
It is.
That grinds my gears.
Yeah.
You know what also really kind of grinds my gears? And I have a whole list, so just bear with me here. You know when you go to the self-checkout and it says, oh, well, ask us how we did today. I'm like, you didn't do anything. I scanned the items. I did it.
No, my least favorite thing about those self-checkouts, though, is that I go to the self-checkout because I don't want to have to socially interact with anybody, but then something goes wrong, and the light starts blinking, and then I have no choice, and the person has to come over there and help me with my stupid little bag because it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Unexpected item in bagging area.
I know!
And Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Please place the item in the bag.
But also, this happens, and this seems to be everybody's pet peeve, when you're doing the self-checkout and they come up and tell you, oh, you're scanning it wrong. I'm like, I'm doing your job. You don't have the right to tell me I'm scanning it wrong. Anywho, my other pet peeves, people, not anybody at this table or in this room for that matter.
But just people in general?
People are too slow. They like in the grocery store in the aisleways, like they also like crowd up.
Yes.
And it's just like, just grab your meat and go, for crying out loud.
So I agree with that to an extent, but I also think certain people are too fast. Have you ever tried walking with Zach? He speed walks at a whole other level.
Am I being attacked on my own show
which
here?
Is hilarious. It's not even like a pet peeve. I'm just flabbergasted that it's even possible because I am a very fast walker because I have very short legs. So there's people in my family who are like taller than me and I walk faster than them. So I typically walk pretty fast. But even if I walk fast, Zach will be halfway down the block and I have to run to catch up with him. He like speed walks on a whole other level and it's hilarious. So that's why he thinks most people are slow is because he walks really fast. But
no, people are generally slow. There's a meme. It says I get road rage just walking behind people.
People like in the mall, I don't like walking around people because they walk into you, like they don't move out of the way, they walk too slow in front of you, like walking with people is annoying.
All right.
So I do agree with that.
So before we head on to Ksenia to wrap us up, I reached out to you on social media just to see kind of like what other people's pet peeves are. Clearly asking a question about pet peeves is somebody's pet peeve. So we have one here. It says people that line up for miles and miles in a construction zone rather than learning to zipper. Arr. Yes. Yes. Everybody moving to the other side. Arr.
People don't know how to merge. Yeah. Like driving things.
By the way, if you've ever like driven in Toronto, it's a sport.
Yeah.
It really is a sport. That's an Olympic sport.
Nobody knows how to merge or let people in or anything. That's why we have accidents all the time.
That is exactly why. And have you ever noticed there's more cars flipping over?
Yes.
Like Windsor drivers are bad, but then you add in that there's always road construction being done in Windsor, and it's like, how do you win? The people on the road are bad, the roads are bad, and it's like everything factors against you.
Sometimes I'm afraid that why I'm not a goose in this country because I cannot cross the road normally. Nobody stops in front of me. But for the goose, you're welcome to the goose in this country. This is my pet
pet peeve. Yes.
Pat. I'm not that pat of this country, so I'm not a goose in this country. This what really bugs.
No, I think you also raised a pretty good point in our discussion this morning.
I'm not sure if think yes.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
The thing is that, for example, for me, I'm not a goose in this country. Yes, it's a thing. For me, after the situation in my country, it's not a lot of stuff that are really bugging me too much because there are like situations like.
Anywho, that's it for this episode. If you want to chime in, you can comment down below. You can catch the full episode of the show on Zack Attack Productions YouTube channel. Keep talking to each other. Bye. Bye.
Up next is another installment of Talking Picture. Here is Dylan and Black.
Mr. Ford, you made a picture called Three Bad Men, which was a large-scale Western, and you had a quite elaborate land rush in it. How did you shoot that? With a camera.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Talking Pictures. Today we got two excellent talking pictures for you guys here today. We got Lolita by Stanley Kubrick starring Shelley Winters and James Mason, compared with Cleopatra by Cecil B. DeMille starring Claudette Colbert as the magnetic Serpent of the Nile, who really just commands every element that surrounds her as she's rolled out onto the floor in front of her king, her emperor, and pretty much the source that she's going to manipulate until Mark Antony gets in the way at the midpoint of the story. Comparing to Lolita, Lolita really does feel like the forbidden fruit in the same way that Cleo outlines the serpent that she ends up becoming. Interestingly enough, the remake of this film stars Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton as the titular couple, and they would go on to marry after this film's production, which was a very interesting turn of events for a roadshow epic such as that, especially one as complex as the production of Cleopatra, considering what it did to the Hollywood system. But those circumstances were not so in the 30s version of the production, where Cleopatra actually does find herself even more magnetic, played through the perspective of Claudette, who really does twist every side of opposition around her finger and makes herself the empress in a way that nobody else can really compete towards. Similar to Lolita, who really is just untouchable as far as competition is concerned, compared to untouchable. Yeah, compared to her mother, who, you know, is certainly touchable and certainly vulnerable and certainly makes that point outlined very, very thoroughly through that early part of the text of Lolita. James Mason will find himself in quite the vulnerable point after being manipulated by such a force of seduction as Lolita, as Peter Sellers makes his introduction as the source in between the two, the middle end, the road at the end. Bit of a puppet master that Peter Sellers is at the end of Lolita. Or, well, unfortunately for Peter Sellers, it doesn't really work out for his point in the story. His position really doesn't actually fulfill him the way it may have been intended, just proving the sheer manipulation of these two dynamic leads. So those were the two talking pictures we compared. I've been Dylan Moskovsky. And I'm Blake Moskovsky. Keep her tuned. Got more talking pictures to talk about.
All aboard, we cross international border for his latest installment of Did You Know?
Behind me is the Michigan Central Station, located right here in Detroit's Corktown neighborhood. Prior to the station's construction, the Michigan Central Railroad operated out of a depot located near the Detroit River and 3rd Street, right about where Joe Louis Arena once stood. Michigan Central Station was built partially to accommodate railway traffic from the Detroit-Windsor Railway Tunnel, which operated in 1910, and an increase in passenger business. But all good things must come to an end, as rail travel saw a sharp decline in the 1950s, leaving this building empty and a canvas for vandals. In 2018, the Ford Motor Company purchased the station and announced its plans to renovate the building. During the renovations, they uncovered numerous bottles of whiskey buried in the basement walls.
The wait is almost over. The doors to Ford's Michigan Central Station are set to reopen this summer.
The depot is scheduled to reopen on June 6th of this year. The more you know. For the MediaPlex, I'm Zachary Ballog.
Wonder what we do here. Let's take a look at the MediaPlex from the people who study and work here.
Journalism enables people to be well informed. It's documenting history. It's an extraordinary way for people to be connected with their community.
What happens in the world affects us. What happens in our community affects us. What happens in the province affects us. And we get to be the eyes and ears and tell the stories. There are many stories that need to be told, and those things add value to our life.
It's neat to know that so many people are relying on me. It makes you strive for perfection, or makes you strive for accuracy.
The journalism program here at St. Clair College is a convergence journalism program. Convergence means the merging together of print, radio, and television, and the web, and putting all different stories into 3 or 4 different platforms.
I can go out now and I can understand how to write a print. I know how to do social media. I can shoot a video. So you start to trust yourself and to use your journalistic skills.
In 21st century newsrooms, journalists have to be able to do it all.
We ask every one of our reporters to tell stories in multiple ways.
There's a different style of writing for print than there is for radio, than there is for television. And it's really important that the information gets out that is true to those platforms.
We are one of the few, if not the only, program that is actually taking students to a live broadcast and giving them that opportunity and that experience.
I want to be a journalist because I think I like to listen other stories.
午间好，这里是媒体综合新闻节目，我是谭一丹，欢迎收
I
看
find。that the students that come out of St. Clair College are already at or above where some of our broadcast employees have been over the last several years.
I feel that I made the greatest decision I could by choosing this program because I have learned so much and I think that I can only grow from here.
I would hands down recommend the program to someone considering it. I would recommend it to someone that's not even considering it. They teach you such a vast array of different skills, different platforms, different things that you could really apply to so many different careers.
Based on literally hundreds of interns I've seen over the years, St. Clair students are better prepared to go into the work environment in media than most students coming out of colleges and universities across North America.
I think it's that very comprehensive curriculum that we have that creates converged journalists that sets this journalism school apart.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Harsh Sasrani and you have been watching the MediaPlex Insider.
This has been a St. Clair College MediaPlex production.